Hello, everybody. It is Jane Rachel, and I'm back again with someone you may recognize, a good friend of mine, Kathy Moran, who did an interview with me a couple months back on overcoming and thriving with fibromyalgia. And it was actually one of the, I think, more inspiring interviews that I've done. And Kathy has not only overcome fibromyalgia, but she's been a nurse for much of her career. And we know each other because we both work on fighting human trafficking. So the point of this interview, it's going to be shorter than some of the other ones, hopefully only 10 minutes, but I just wanted to get Kathy's perspective as a nurse about a topic that is something that I experienced called positive toxicity. So Kathy, why don't you just go ahead and first of all, explain what does that word even mean, or two words?
Well, positive toxicity. I'm just gonna roll right into an example. If you can give me 1 second, I'm just going to get a statements up here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I just had it. Oh, okay, here we go. Some of the statements that you may hear, and this is the best way to do this. Somebody may say, if you're saying that, I'm not having such a great day, or I'm not feeling well, or whatever, somebody will say, or if you're in the height of, experiencing something that has to do with your illness, and you make a comment of some sort, and somebody says to you, oh, you'll get over it, or, oh, don't be so negative. Again, if you're maybe even, expressing something like, you're a little sad or depressed because your illness is chronic, and every day you're kind of just sometimes struggling through the day, and you may hear something like, oh, always look on the bright side of things. Now, these are statements that are not actually acknowledging what you're going through. They are actually just kind of glossing over and in some way negating what you're feeling. Now, I'm not going to say that people do this with sometimes because they can't. First of all, they don't understand what's going on with you. So I think that their reaction is, of course I can't speak for everybody. Their reaction is, instead of, speaking with you and asking you maybe a question like, how do you feel? Or, oh, that's, I feel bad that you feel so bad, or empathizing with you. I think that is because they don't understand. And sometimes people don't want to know.
Yeah.
They just don't want to know what the depth of what you're going through. And, in this world, a lot of times people do not ask those questions. And sometimes it's because they don't want to ask themselves questions either.
And it's so funny because you would think that that's not a bad thing to say, oh, why don't you be more positive, or, look on the bright side, it could be worse, or I'm trying to think, or everybody's got something. I mean, those don't sound like the worst things in the world to say, but I have to tell you, when people say them to me, they make my stomach churn. And I honestly, they upset me so much. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you as a nurse. I'm not sure why they upset me so much, but they do. Any insight as to why does that make me so angry?
Because you're not feeling acknowledged, and it's being taken lightly, and because we have illnesses that are not very apparent, you look okay, maybe the pain you're experiencing, or you have it somewhat under control. So it doesn't mean that you don't have the pain. It's just that you're used to living with it, and you have it to a point where you have it under control. People don't see that. They see, somebody that has like a deformed finger, or if if you're reading somebody that has a lot of pain on their face, you can visibly see that. But the illnesses that we have are not very apparent. So people, rather than acknowledging what you're going through, a lot of times they can't even wrap their head around it. They can't understand it because they don't see it, and they don't see it really in front of them. And really through life, a lot of people just, when they don't see something, they don't believe it. And it
Ab-
really actually has nothing to do with you.
ab-
It really has nothing to do with you. So I
Absolutely. Like, so for an example, I don't think people would say that, or at least educated people would say that to someone who's experienced infertility or who's experienced, heart to beat disease or depression. No one's going to say, oh my gosh, be positive. Like, but yet they have no problem saying that to someone who's going through a chronic pain syndrome. And what that reads to me is, you don't have it that bad. You should be happy for what you have. And that's just invalidating. And those of us who have these conditions, we've been invalidated enough. We've been invalidated by doctors. We've been invalidated. We don't need another person in our lives invalidating us. So what should someone say instead?
well, somebody, I would say something like, oh, sorry about that. Instead of saying, you'll get over it, say something like, it's hard, but I believe in you,
Yes.
or if somebody says, like, don't be so negative, say, instead of that, that's negating you, or not acknowledging you. Say to them, it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel bad sometimes. And I would even extend that. I said, I would even say it's okay to feel bad sometimes, because I believe everybody does. Everybody does have a bad day or sometimes bad moments. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
really okay.
It's okay.
Um,
Or just, I'm sorry that you're going through that. I'm here to listen. I'm here for you. What can I do? Right? At some point you might be able to say, look, I'm sorry you're going through that, but I know you are so strong. You've been through so much. I know that you'll continue to, and I'm here for you. But when you sit there and say, it's never a good idea to compare people's problems. So it's never a good idea to say everybody's going through something. You would not say to that, who's to someone who's going through, cancer, infertility, or been in a car accident. You would never say that. So you should not say that to someone in chronic pain.
no, absolutely not. And particularly if you can't see it, because you really just don't know what anybody is experiencing in their illness. You cannot say. So you just acknowledging and saying, oh, like you were saying, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I understand that this is, it must be difficult, because I look at you, and even sometimes, if it would give them an opportunity really to say, you know, even, I wouldn't say anything back to them, Jane, in the sense, if
Yeah.
they make a negative, or not a negative, but a toxic kind of positivity remark, you maybe very subtly say, I understand if you don't get that what I'm going through. I understand that it's difficult for you to see that what I'm experiencing, and sometimes that just acknowledge
Good
that
idea.
you acknowledge it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That you acknowledge it's difficult for them, and sometimes that's empowering to you,
that's
and
actually
sometimes that's
a,
what you need to do, is just empower yourself. I'm sorry you don't understand. You
yeah,
know,
that
and I would actually go so far as to say, I'm sorry you don't understand. You know what? I need to take care of myself now, and kind of, because you don't want to upset yourself. That's the major goal. That is the major goal, is not to upset yourself. I need to go and rest now, and whatever, because again, it's, you don't want to get angry
yeah,
because the person doesn't understand. You don't want to be triggered, but in the same sense, you want to leave it the conversation where you feel like you've enabled yourself. You've abled yourself, I should say, abled yourself. So that may be a response that you can do. That leaves everybody intact. That
I'm
leaves
so
everybody intact.
I knew it was a good idea to reach out to you because I don't know what to say in those situations, and I end up finding myself fuming. And and often these are people that I do care about, but I'm like, I just sit there being like, oh my God, they just said everybody's got something, and I'm just thinking, you would not say to that to someone who's been in a car accident, and this is what this feels like. So it leaves me angry and upset, and I think the smartest thing to do is get yourself out of the conversation and all of that. And you're right, I don't think people do it intentionally, but we do
I
have
think
to.
that they really don't, I don't think that they're thinking actually. So I think that they just, that's a kind of an automatic response for something that you really don't understand or can't understand or don't haven't want to understand. And that's okay. But you can, again, you can turn it around and say, okay, I'm having little problems today, so I'll call you back, another time when I'm feeling better or something. Just again, just so put it in your court is what I'm
Yeah,
saying, because
exactly.
that's all it's about. Because with these particular diseases, you have to really maintain the lowest stress level you can, and that's really when you think about your goal at every point, it's always to focus on, I need to reduce my stress so that I don't, whatever kind of pain I'm having, if it is starting to spike, I gotta get it right get it in the knees, as they say, get it in the knees.
Exactly. And it's
And,
it's
and
it's cyclical because what happens is these kind of statements make you, get you upset and angry, which makes you feel worse. And it's a never ending cycle. And had someone once said to me, or several people have said to me, well, we just don't want you feeling sorry for yourself. We want to make sure it's our job to keep you positive. No, like you are not my positive coach. Like until you've like held my hand when I've been screaming in pain and lying on the bathroom floor and been with me in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, you have not earned the right to be the person whose job it is to keep me more positive.
absolutely. And
Like,
I definitely I understand though how, and it's happened to me too, Jane, where I've gotten triggered and I realized it. I said, this person doesn't understand, and I really have to give them the empathy of not understanding. But in the same sense, I'm not going to sit there and try to project something that I'm not feeling. So I'm not going to go there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go there. I'm
yeah,
not going to be this bright, happy, sunshine person because you can't deal with my whatever's going on with me. And it's not, I'm not going to be that. So I'm going to thank you for our conversation, and I'm going to say, okay, I'll call you another time and whatever else. So, but the other thing is that it occurred to me as well as, uh, oh wow, I just lost my train of thought, but
that's
uh,
okay. I was going to ask you mostly to just because you and I could talk forever because you have such good advice, but really just to give us to end. And I know you said it already, but just to recap, good things to say and good things not to say. So let's give
well,
us example, but do the not to say first.
okay, let's go for it. And don't say you'll get over it. Do not say don't be so negative. Do not say always look on the bright side of things. Do not say failure is not an option, and do not say think happy thoughts, and do not say it could be worse. And another thing you don't say, well, a lot of other people have it a lot worse. Do not
Yeah.
say that, please.
Yeah.
Um,
No comparisons. No, everybody's got
no,
something. No, no, no. Big X.
anybody, because you
Okay.
are an individual and that is it. End of
Yeah.
story. Do say, it's hard, but I believe in you. Or do say, it's okay to feel bad sometimes. Or do say, it can be difficult to see the good in this situation, but we'll make sense of it when we can. And that's a very important one. I think that's a really important one,
Yeah.
because
That,
it's walking you through. You feel like you are actually supporting that person, walking through with that person. And yeah, you don't feel well today, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you're feeling. And and that's it. And just let's just talk about how you're feeling, just so
ex
you feel acknowledged. um,
exactly. Just, I'm here for you. And sometimes listening, we get into a lot less trouble when we listen as opposed to
Oh my
speak.
goodness, yes, absolutely,
It,
absolutely.
uh,
That is key. And then do say failure is a part of growth. That's the other thing. This unrealistic world that nobody's going to fail, and you're not going to have bad days, and you don't have pain, and you don't. I mean, people denying how you are and what you're feeling is really, I think, really the most toxic thing anybody can do. I don't care if you have an illness or not. Um,
absolutely. A-
failure failure is growth, and having bad days is a bad day. That's it. So don't being in